What is happening, guys? My name is Jamie and this is the Norwich Reptile Shed, and in this video we're going to be talking brumation. Now then, I've covered brumation on the channel before last year, and I'm pretty sure I covered it the year before that, although I did it slightly differently. So the method I'm using is the same as last year, and that is going to be that I cool the animals down in the shed for the first 4 weeks leading up to the brumation, and then I'll be moving them on into tubs and moving them into my loft in my house, where I have a insulated box up there with a heater that's controlled by a thermostat, all Wi-Fi enabled, so I can keep an eye on it while I'm laying in bed worrying that it's too cold, and that keeps the whole thing at about 10 degrees, and I then do that for the 3-month brumation period, and then I leave the animals that are in the reptile room that aren't brumating. I can leave everything back on. The reptile room is still at a pretty decent temperature, and I don't have any trouble or any problems moving animals out of the reptile shed maybe into a warmer room and then cooling the reptile shed down. Now, I did that the first time. I cooled the entire shed down while also trying to keep royal pythons heated and some other animals, false water cobras, the boiga, that sort of stuff, and it was an absolute nightmare. So this method definitely works better, moving them all up into a shed. I know people do it into their outdoor sheds, into lofts, or even use like wine chillers and things like that. Now Daisy is slightly different than the snakes. Daisy actually brumates in her own fridge, and if you want to check out a more specific video on Daisy going in, then I have videos leading up to her brumation last year, step by step on how I do it. But this is actually the first week of Daisy cooling down, whereas it's the 3rd week of the snakes cooling down, and it's also the first week of the leopard geckos cooling down as well. So what I'm trying to do this year is basically stagger the cooling down between snakes, lizards and tortoise, just to make my life a little bit easier. No one goes into brumation all at the same time, and it just means I have a little bit more of a chilled, relaxed kind of way of going into it, rather than worrying all in one day, everyone down. So like I said earlier, we're 3 weeks in to the snakes brumating, which means this is the last week that the snakes are going to be in their vivariums, and at this point they have no heat. I'm going to limit the light pretty much to nothing, so that's all gone. Everything's as cool as possible before then moving them up into the loft. So I've spared the details of meticulously going around turning all the vivariums down by a couple of degrees, because that's not very interesting. But instead, where we are now is we are ready to get the tubs prepared, get them all cleaned up, fresh bedding in there, get the water bowls all sorted out, ready to go, and then I know that in a week's time these guys are going up into the loft. So with the leopard geckos, I would normally start them the same time I start the snakes, because it's quite easy just to knock the temperature down in the same way that I do all the other vivariums for the snakes. But because this vivarium is quite new, I wanted these guys to kind of get used to it, get accustomed to everything, know where their hides are, where they feel secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and start cooling them down now. So they've actually been in here for a couple of months now. Everything's going really well. And because these heaters aren't on a thermostat, they're actually on a dimming plug socket. What I can do now is every week I'm just going to knock that dimming plug socket down for the next, right up till Christmas, so for the next month. And then I'm going to leave these guys at 22 degrees. Well, about 22 degrees over the winter period for about 2 months, and then I'm going to bring these guys back up to temperature as well. So this is exactly what I did last year, and they barely even lost a couple of grams. It was absolutely insane. So yeah, that is the plan with the leopard geckos. So Daisy is in the bath right now. This is actually the first week of her cool down period, which is going to last just under 4 weeks, leading up till Christmas, and then she's going to go in the fridge. The baths are going to get more regular to make sure she's nice and hydrated, but her food is now going to stop. And her heat light is actually, what I'm going to do is raise it just ever so slightly up every week and reduce the times on the timer as well, so she has less heat and for less hours of the day, and eventually it will be the last week she'll have no heat at all, and she'll be nice and ready to go into the fridge. So this is just one of my small tubs that I'm using for the smaller species of snake that I've got. I've got 2 of these and I'm using them for Piggy, which is my hognose, and then I've got another one which is for the corn snake, which is still quite small. And then I've got the bigger size rubs, which I use for Mr. Pine, the pine snake, both pine snakes, Ty, the Taiwanese beauty snake, and Penny, the black rat snake. So yeah, I'm just going to show you my quick setup for these guys. This year I'm just using Aspen. Last year I used Aspen for some and topsoil for the others, and I found that the topsoil, if the water bowls got spilt, the topsoil would really soak up that moisture, and it was quite hard to actually get that moisture back out of the tub without removing all the soil, which is really not what you want to do when you're in a room that's 10 degrees and you know you haven't got other space to put snakes and bits like that. So yeah, this year I'm just using 100% Aspen for all the snakes, and a lot more solid water bowls as well. So just a bit of Aspen, one of her hides from her actual enclosure is going to go in there, and then just her actual water bowl as well, which is going to go in there. Simple as that. That's all ready to go. Let's go and get Piggy. So yeah, just quickly, this is the larger tub that I use for the 4 big snakes. So it's just a bigger tub with a cat litter tray converted into a hide and a nice big flat water bowl that's harder to turn over and easy to keep clean. We've got ventilation in the corners, cross ventilation, going low to high, and then there's a name tag at the front there for each snake, just so I know what I'm dealing with before I lift up any hides and check on anyone. Because as you well know, some snakes in the shed are better behaved than others. But yeah, this is it. So there's no snake going in here yet. These have all got to be made up, ready for next week. And like I said earlier in the video, 1 more week and then these guys will be going up in the loft. So thank you very much for checking out that video, guys. As always, head over to the Instagram and Facebook pages, and that's where I'll be doing most of the updates on how everything's going with these guys. If you'd like to support the channel, please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and if you'd like to support the channel even further than that, head over to Patreon, where for £3 a month I can put your name at the start of each video, and all the money from that goes back into the channel to help me buy more equipment for the animals, more equipment for the filming and all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.